I see a great disturbance in the United States. It involves this metal thing that's kind of wibbly-wobbling and we don't know if it's being built or not. Who cares? It's a pipeline! Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your insane host, Dr. Bartholomew Chatter, and I've got my whiskey. And I've got a gun. Let's do another show, okay? Tonight's episode is unofficially brought to you by Serpent's Bite. Get bit. Rawr.
NODAPL or FRAK my finger crackle.
I'm Dr. Bartholomew Chatter, and you may not know what that means. Or you do. And if you do, you're probably insane, so you should see someone about that. But where am I going with this? The North Dakota Access Pipeline. Now, we know this is something that's kind of going on underneath the main currents of the mainstream media. Young Turks have covered it, a bunch of other news sources, and I found some pretty crazy news sources, including stories that are connected to Native American prophecies, which, I mean, come on, seriously, a black snake crossing a river could just be a black snake crossing a river. This was supposed to go under the river. I'm pretty sure black snakes would go over the river, but regardless of that fact, come on, people. It's just something that, well, we probably more than likely don't need this thing to be around, and it's probably detrimental to the environment. We should at least kind of come to an understanding about what it is. So here's what I've dug up. Now, you may be wondering, why do we need these things? And I'll tell you, semis can haul about 10,000 gallons worth of crude oil. Now, a pipeline like this is rated to be about, and this is the most conservative estimate I've found, 300,000 gallons per day. So we're talking about 30 drivers going to a place every day that are out of a job. Now, they probably go there in one day and then go back. And that's probably their whole day. But every day it's 30 drivers. So if they're not immediately going back and then coming back the next day, then that means that there's another 30 drivers. And that's if the conservative estimate is right. It could be more than 30 drivers a day. And those are people without jobs. They won't need 30 people to maintain the pipeline. That's not why they're building the pipeline. They're building the pipeline because it's cheaper to ship oil from point A to point B through a pipeline than pay a bunch of people to haul it in small loads. It's one of the reasons why trains are a good thing. But, as we've seen, when you have a semi or a train or a pipeline, they leak and spill all the freaking time. So wake up, people. It's not what we should be doing is going after these pipelines and going after trucks and going after tankers and everything else in the oil industry. We need to be switching to different energy sources and devising new energy sources for the future of humanity. That's what we need to be doing, folks. They can take hours to arrive at their destination, one by one. And this equals about 100 barrels per truck. That's 30 drivers out of work. But is that a bad thing? What about carbon emissions created by semi-trucks and global warming? These are things we are trying to cut down on. Taking a truck driver's job away is technically also not putting the carbon he would produce in the air. This seems a bit of a piss-poor argument for accepting the pipeline, doesn't it? Think about it. Wouldn't it be better to do better than oil or truck driving? Well, either way you slice it, doing something different would definitely be better than rubber bullets, god damn it, and mace and everything else they're doing. They're spraying water hoses on people in conditions that could cause hypothermia. They're spraying off skin and other things. These are the reports we're getting. Seriously, guys. I would like to actually interview some of these officers and people behind the masks and the armor and find out what their mindset is. What are they being told? What is going on? This almost makes me want to really start looking at land charts and everything. But before that, I really think we should just realize that they're doing these things and they don't care what the ramifications of it are in the environment. They're doing it because it's cheaper. They want to make more money. That is just plain solid fact. That is the only reason to build a pipeline. And they're trying to do it through land that is supposedly not theirs. So I think it's fairly obvious which side we should choose. Am I arguing for native rights or religious freedom? No, I'm arguing for humanity. I'm arguing for the environment. Not capitalism. I'm sorry, Austin, but no capitalism. No yay capitalism. Capitalism can be a bad thing, as can democracy. You have to really look at how it's being formed and what it entails and all the details to really assess whether or not it's going sour or it's staying the course and actually being a good thing. And it's a lot harder to understand where that line is if you're just voting Republican or just voting Democrat or, just deciding you're alt-right or SJW or whatever the hell you decide you are. The world is more complicated than these labels. So I guess you could say that society and technology need to evolve ASAP. Otherwise, we're not gonna have a world left to protest over, or to fight for, or to change in any way. We'll all be dead. Does the smoke in North Dakota make you think it's hot now? Just wait. Here's what I think's gonna happen. Obama said, hey, I'm not gonna give you the permit to drill. Oil companies already said, you told us to stop before, and we said, let's go in 2 weeks. So here's what I think. They don't give a shit. They're gonna still do it. And once it's done, no one's gonna prosecute them. Because people are gonna go home, they're gonna forget about this, and then all of a sudden they're gonna realize that the pipeline was built behind their back, and it's probably gonna be during the first few months of Trump's presidency. But then again, that's just speculation. Don't listen to me if you think that I'm just being biased.
And just when you thought you were safe, there's breaking news coming in over the wireless.
Alright, so I didn't mention it, but there are veterans that actually went to Standing Rock to help the protesters. They view this as their way of helping their country from enemies, both foreign and, more importantly in this case, domestic. They've been interviewed on other shows like The Young Turks, and their numbers grew over the internet until they were able to swell the camp over at the Standing Rock to over or about 2,000 people. And they were at max capacity, so they actually had to start turning people away who were going there. These veterans, including some police officers from around the country, as well as those military personnel that were in there, decided to pay their respects to elders of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe and others who were there in a small ceremony. Also, President Obama decided to actually deny their permit for drilling. So now everybody is saying #victory. But is it? North Dakota is saying that many of the defendants and protesters and everything that were at this event that have gotten arrested are going to have to pay for their own lawyers. Which means they're going to owe a lot of money and not be able to pay it and lose their lawyer and get convicted guilty. This is a very bad thing. Also, the sheriffs from North Dakota have written a letter to President Barack Obama saying that he has abandoned them. Still reiterating that he claims that the sheriff claims that they are kind of terrorists, they are committing violence, the potential for violence is there. This is just not true. The only violence we're seeing is from the officers that are shooting the people with water cannons, making them lose eyes, as what happened to one girl who was a water protector, or protester, however you want to label her. And there's other instances where people are just standing there with their arms out, and the cop just raises a canister of mace and maces them. Or guy falls over the barricade and they shoot a bunch of rubber bullets into him. I don't think they needed to shoot the bullets into him. They could have just ran up and tasered him. Or, maybe grabbed him and arrested him. But no, when he's possibly stuck in barbed wire, what do? Shoot him. Yeah, that makes logical sense. Way to look out for their safety there, officers. Shooting unarmed reporters with rubber bullets? That's safety, right? And what do they constantly say? That pipelines are safe? Pipelines are safe. Well, apparently not. A little ways away from there, in Belfield, North Dakota, there is the Bell Fork pipeline that has spilled, at some estimates, 176,000 gallons of crude oil, but by other estimates, an undetermined amount of crude oil. And it's leaked into the surrounding area and their creek. This is another pipeline that they say doesn't leak all that often. We just had one leak and dump a lot of oil. By my estimates, that's over half. With the number they gave me of 176,000 gallons, that's over half of what this pipeline they're proposing in North Dakota at Standing Rock can carry. Because that one, by conservative estimates, can only carry 300,000 gallons. So think about what you're doing, people. These aren't environmentally friendly. The only way to have environmentally friendly uses for fuel consumption and transportation is by having a human there. That is the safest way. Always has been, always will be. It's about oversight and regulation. You do actually need some of it. Otherwise, things go out the window. And I'll talk more about that in a later episode. But I've still been your host, Dr. Bartholomew Chatter, reminding you all that big fucking guns change the world. And sometimes knowledge.